So the thing about sewing on knitting is you have to make sure you're not just sewing into these holes. Hi everyone, welcome back to my whip snowball series. Basically it's like the that snowball that Dave Ramsey does, only I'm doing it with crafting stuff. So I found this Velcro in my stash. Actually, I think I'm going to start off with weaving these ends in first. And now we're going to try our hand at sewing on yarn. What I'm going to do to avoid getting tangled is I'm going to put the Velcro on like this and just sew this top part here on, and as I'm doing each side I'll adjust the Velcro accordingly. Now you might notice that I have some pen on my hand and a little bit of marker here. Just ignore that. So we're going to start by just adding the thread to the back of the piece of Velcro and shortening the tail a little bit. Then we're going to add this onto here. And in theory, it'll sit nice and straight and not get tangled. We'll see how that works out in practice. So the thing about sewing on knitting is you have to make sure you're not just sewing into these holes. Let's see if I can zoom in here. You're not just sewing into these holes. You have to actually sew on one side of the fabric, the other side of the fabric, or even through the yarn is a good choice too. But so I'm going to go through this yarn here and then separately poke back through here. See how I went through the yarn on that, and then I pick a different spot and make sure it's attached. Even if it doesn't line up perfectly with the Velcro, I can just separately go through the Velcro after I go through. It's more important that you get it attached back here, or it won't be attached to anything. Sewing stuff onto knitting or crochet is not as pretty as putting it onto just other regular fabric. I mean, there's exceptions to every rule. Like if you got like a t-shirt material, you can pretty much sew it the same way as you would regular fabric. But for bigger, chunkier stuff like this, it's all about making sure it's actually attached. Okay, so it's coming out here, and we're heading in this direction. So I'll go down here. Okay, good. Hopefully this camera is picking up the nuance of what I'm trying to explain. Because sometimes I'm focusing so much on the actual sewing that I forget to check if it's in focus. So hopefully it's doing that. Okay, so it's coming out here, so you're going to want to pick a spot. It's heading in the right direction. Oh. And through a piece of yarn. So for the knots, I'm just going to shorten the end there a little bit. And then I just do a simple 1, 2, 3 around here. Pull it into a knot. Catch another couple pieces of yarn. Actually, I don't think that was a good idea. Let's go through a piece of yarn. I'm going to go through a few pieces of yarn. Okay, and then just do a simple 1, 2, 3. I like to do a couple of rounds of 3 if I have enough thread, just to make sure it's good and sturdy. And now we have half of the piece of Velcro all done. Don't cut too close to this, but cut it so it's not overly obvious. And now we're ready for round 2. The second one, I'm going to put in a way that makes sense, hopefully. It should go like this, which means this is where it should go if it's going to attach without twisting. This box said soft and flexible and easy to sew through. And believe it or not, this is true because I've sewed much, much more difficult Velcro before. It can be very, very stiff stuff to work with. If you're buying Velcro to sew onto something, I would strongly recommend getting the soft stuff that's deliberately meant for sewing, because you can end up getting the stuff that you're supposed to like cut and then use the sticky back to put onto a hard surface. And that is very, very difficult to sew through. I speak from experience. There we go. So just like before, my whip snowball here, zoom out a little bit. I have my bib here, goes around like this and lands on the Velcro there, and it's done. So with my clean slate, or my whip snowball rather, this cupcake here, cause cupcakes are good. So thanks again everybody for watching, and I will see you on the next project for my whip snowball.